Louisiana's new governor-elect Bobby Jindal spent the day on a thank you tour.
I'm not here to give you a campaign speech. I'm here to say thank you.
Jindal first stopped at the St. Tammany Justice Center in Covington, shaking hands and thanking his voters. According to the Associated Press, Jindal's victory was the top story on television news in India in January. Jindal becomes the first Indian-American governor in the U.S. Meanwhile, Jindal's team is already planning how to take over the governor's mansion. They've started to organize at LSU's Kirby Smith Hall. That's the same building Governor Blanco used as a transitional office. LSU police, Blanco aides, and some of Jindal's team are mapping out the space. Of course, Jindal is busy thanking voters across the state and will be doing that through Wednesday.
Now, as for how Jindal will do in office, political scientists are already weighing in on this. They point out that Jindal's enormous 54% margin makes him the first non-incumbent governor ever to win the election without a runoff. WAFB Capitol correspondent Caroline Moses joins us now with more. And do the analysts think that he's going to be able to work with what looks like it's going to be a mostly Democratic legislature?
Donna, that's the big question here now that the race has been settled. You know, analysts say Jindal's special session on ethics reform will be the real test. They say if he's successful passing ethic laws, he'll be successful uniting the legislature on other issues.
He's going to be somewhat partisan. He's got to be.
Governor-elect Bobby Jindal claims he'll work with both parties. But LSU political science professor Wayne Parent is not so sure that's realistic.
We haven't had anyone like this before. I mean, he's new. He didn't talk to the press very much.
Jindal is currently a U.S. congressman. He worked in the Foster administration and is head of the Department of Health and Hospitals.
So he knows a lot of these people, but that's the big question mark.
Can Jindal garner support from both Republicans and Democrats? A congressional tracking service, govtrack.us, classifies him as a rank-and-file Republican. But will that change?
He's going to call a special session on ethics. Let's see how he does.
Parent says the ethics fight is like a training ground for his effectiveness in office. He says voters are looking to Jindal to correct corruption and to fix mistakes made during Hurricane Katrina.
Conservative blogs already have him in the White House in 2012.
But let's rewind a little. Parent says the Senate is already all but guaranteed to stay Democratic.
The House may become a Republican House for the first time in Louisiana history. That has to do with the state becoming slightly more Republican.
Parent says a Republican House is possible, but not likely. It's a situation that could leave Bobby Jindal on the other side, somewhere he's been before.
I think he worked very hard to become familiar all over the state and make sure his ethnicity was not an issue.
Now, Parent says Jindal, quote, won an earth-shattering victory because he was already a known candidate, having run for governor 4 years ago. And he says another reason Jindal won was the low number of African-American voters who came to the polls. Donna?
Thanks, Caroline Moses. Now, a man who was the first Republican governor Louisiana elected in more than 100 years, Dave Treen, is heading back into active politics. Treen says he's going to run for the 1st District congressional seat being vacated by Jindal. A special election to replace Jindal has not yet been scheduled. Treen is 79 years old and a Republican.
To his